Hey guys, Johnny here from Ignite. Thanks for tuning in to another one of our videos. Please do me a favor before I get into this one. Click the subscribe button beneath and follow our YouTube channel so that you can get access and you can get informed every time we have a new video for you. But today we're going to be looking at craft of writing, and we're going to be looking at how to think about studying a prescribed text. So tune in, take a seat, enjoy, let's get into it. Okay, so let's have a look at the focus of craft of writing. In previous videos, we've explored what it's all about. We know it's about grabbing a text, extracting the style and the form and all the value in that regard out of it, and then being able to replicate that in your own writing. So that's the gist of this module. We want to copy from the good authors. We want to get a good piece of writing and say, how do I write exactly like that? And this module is trying to make you conscious of the process of essentially copying or emulating or reflecting the writing of great composers. That's what this module's about. So that means when you go and approach a text, let's say you're doing a prose fiction novel, or it typically will be a short story. Let's say you're reading through that story and you're thinking, okay, I've got to do this for Module C. One thing that students will typically tend to do, they'll just look at it and try and absorb the characters and the plot and everything that you should do normally when you read a piece of writing. And this could be for poetry or speech or something else. You'll read it, think about what it was about, and that's fine, that's all well and good. But you might be missing that conscious part of the process, which is where as you read it, as you read the text, you have to be processing, oh wow, why was the emphasis there? I noticed that there was an alliteration or a metaphor used there. How did he use that? How did he create that imagery? How did she create that type of character? What did she do in the sentences to actually achieve that outcome? This is what you should be asking about the composers that you're studying. What have they actually done in the way that they've written it to achieve the intended effect? Why do you leave a text thinking, wow, that really had a huge impact on me? Or if it didn't have a huge impact on you and you're just not interested, at least attempt to see what the composer has tried to do in their writing. How have they manipulated the writing style in a macro basis, in a broad basis, and that might just be they've written in first person or third person limited narration, or in a micro sense that in particular sentences they have used a lot of syntax. They have lots of commas, or they have no syntax and they have really long sentences. They might also use lots of metaphors. They might use a lot of natural imagery. You always have images of the sun and the ocean. You need to be conscious of what they're doing as you go through the text and think, how can I replicate that in my own writing? As you think, how can I replicate that, you secondly need to be conscious of that process that you're undertaking then and there. Okay, this is the reflection part of the paper. You need to reflect on how you're seeing something in the text that you're studying and thinking about adapting that to your own particular piece of writing. Okay, and that's the crucial bit. We have the emulation of the text you're studying, and then we have your conscious reflection and acknowledgement of what you're actually doing. So the reflective part of this process forces you to actually do what the module wants you to do. Because you're forced to reflect on how you were inspired by a particular feature of the prescribed text, you therefore will have to do that exact thing. You'll have to use the particular feature and mirror it in your own writing, because you're going to be asked, most likely, how have you actually done that? Okay, so it's very clever in that way, the two-part split of this module. It's 20 marks. Typically, it'll be 12 marks and 8 marks, 10 marks and 10 marks, maybe 20 marks and no marks on the reflection. You're going to be asked to write a piece of writing that is inspired by some kind of feature or technique or style of a text that you've studied. And then you're going to be asked to reflect on how you just did that. Okay, so be aware of that. Here's what you need to focus on when you look at a text. So instead of just reading a text and, oh, I know what the text is about. Look, that's fine. You do need to be concerned with the concerns of the text, the themes and what it's trying to explore. But I think first and foremost, when you're looking at a Module C text, you need to be paying attention to the style of the text, the form of the text, the language features of the text. What all of this means is, how has it been written? If I look sentence by sentence, what am I noticing about the style of writing? What has the composer done to actually convey these concerns? So you're looking very technically at the choices of the composer for this particular module, and that's the important thing to focus on. Okay, so what are we doing with this text? We are reverse engineering the writing process. And we're doing this in a broad sense and in a more specific sense. That is macro and micro. So how do you reverse engineer something? What does it mean to reverse engineer something? It means to try and look at the end product and work your way backwards at how that end product was achieved. So when you look at a text, you're thinking, how did the composer even get there in the first place? What did they put to pen? Or what did they put to paper at the first instance, and how were they thinking about crafting that particular sentence? Or how did they think generally about communicating their concern? That's reverse engineering. You're looking at the final product, you study the text, and then you're thinking, let's reverse backwards to when the composer first put the pen to paper. Okay, so from a macro perspective, you're asking yourself these questions. What are the broader stylistic features that stand out? So when you're looking at the poem or the story or the speech, you're thinking, what kind of voice is it spoken with? Is it a first-person voice or is it a third-person voice? If it is a third-person voice, so it's not from the perspective of a character or person, then you want to ask yourself, is it third-person limited narration? Is the perspective biased towards a certain character? Or is it third-person omniscient narration, meaning it doesn't have a bias towards any particular character, it just says it how it is? You also want to look at the use of imagery in text, especially poems as well. You want to look at, is the plot simple or complex, and why that might be. And especially with speeches, you want to look at the tone. What tone are these people using? Are they being sarcastic to try and illustrate a point? Are they being condescending? Are they being assertive? What modality are they using? How definite are they when they speak? So these are the types of questions you need to ask. And the second question, which is so important, and this underpins the entire module, is how can I replicate or draw upon these in my own piece of writing? So if you were given a stimulus and asked to write a speech or an imaginative piece of writing, and you will get the choice because you could have studied a whole range of different types of texts, be it imaginative, persuasive, discursive, etc., you'll be then asked to replicate it, and you want to draw upon this. You'll say, I now need to use the same tone as the composer that I studied. Or I'll use a different tone, but I'm still being inspired by what they did. So you want to achieve your own purpose, you want to talk about your own issue, or you want to explore your own idea of a story, but you want to still use the techniques that they did. And that's how you reverse engineer in the macro sense. Okay, and finally, bear with me. If we're talking about micro reverse engineering, we're looking at the more specific techniques of the composer. We want to zoom in on each individual sentence that they've written, or more or less each sentence. If you're doing a long text, obviously you don't need to do this for every single sentence in it, but you want to look specifically at the text and say, where did they use metaphors? Where have they created imagery? Where have they used a simile or personification? And are they doing that a lot? See how they've done it. See how they've achieved that beautiful and eloquent writing that you so often see in these reputable texts, and see if you can deconstruct that sentence and then change certain things about it and make it your own for your own idea. And that's the process of adapting the features of these sentences into your own writing. This is trying to make you a better writer by looking and reverse engineering the exact process that great writers have adopted. Okay guys, I hope that helps you think about this module. Looking forward to doing another video with you on the craft of writing and going a bit more in depth on how to actually do these things. But until then, please like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. If you do like the content, subscribe to our channel and we'll have more videos coming your way.
That's right guys, thanks for watching, and please make sure you check out our online resource database. We've had a team of state rank achievers and heads of English put these together for you, covering everything from essay structures and examples all the way through to craft of writing and comprehension skills. So check them out at ignitehse.com.au, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.